Hey Josh, it's Coach Adams here. Just wanted to get you that video of you hitting. Thanks for coming out today. It was cool hitting with you and your brother. I really have to say I was impressed with the way that you hung with your older brother and you swung the same bat as he did. I think he's a junior and you are in the 8th grade, so that's a 3-year difference, and that's a pretty cool thing that you were out there swinging the same bat as him. And I know that was difficult for you, but you keep running around with him and learning from him, and you're going to turn into quite a baseball player yourself. Well, let's get into your video here, and the first thing we're going to look at is your feet, because I noticed that during your swing you started to come open a couple times. Right here we can see that your feet are lined up. But before we even get to your stride, there's one thing that I want you to think about adjusting. When I go straight down on your knee, I can see that it's outside your big toe. And if you don't mind doing some Google homework, go ahead and look at, well, you can even look at your brother's video, or you can look at Major Leaguer's video. They all have this thing called the double inside load. You can also Google that, where their knee is on the inside of their big toe, and right now yours is on the outside. But let's go forward in your swing, and right there we can see now your knee is in the correct position. You see that, how your knee is now on the inside of your big toe? That is really where you want it. So if you can focus on getting your knee to start in that position, you'll save yourself a little bit of time, and it will also help you get through that turn faster, which is what we talked about in terms of getting bat speed. Now, let's also look at where you landed after your stride. You landed just a little bit open. You see how your toe right here, I know it's a little bit hard to see because of the shadow, but your toe is no longer on the line. So that means you landed a little bit open, and that's going to tend to pull you off the ball a little bit. So we want to make sure that we stride in line. Let's keep going through this swing right here. Now there you are. You're doing a good job. You're tracking the ball. One thing that we can work on is, you'll see in your brother's video and a lot of other videos, that tilt that we talked about. You're still doing a good job there, but this knee right here, I'll go ahead and circle it. I can still see a bunch of bend in it. Well, not a bunch, but I can still see some bend in it, and it straightens out right there. But we want to make sure that we get that knee straightened out, because if we don't straighten it out, we can't rotate around it. One other thing I want to make sure you're doing here, let me get all that stuff off the screen for you because that's getting kind of crazy. One other thing we want to make sure you're doing is rotating through the ball. Now, you did a really good job with your hips. Your hips are rotated through, and you can see the ball right here. You're about to make contact with it. What I want you to do is I want you to keep an eye right here on your shoulders as you make contact with the ball. You're rotating through, alright, and now watch your shoulders on this next frame. They don't rotate. They just kind of stay where they are. It's maybe a little shock from swinging that big bat and making contact, but your shoulders don't rotate through, and that tells me that your bat speed was slowed down. And I know it's right at contact, but we don't want it to slow down at all. Rotate all the way through that swing. It's just only a small thing, 2 frames. We probably couldn't have seen it with the naked eye, but that's why slow-mo is such a cool tool. We can see that your shoulders stop rotating there just for a couple frames, and then there they go again, and then you finish through your swing. So just make sure that you rotate all the way through your swing. One thing that's going to help you out, and we talked about this after we went inside and watched some video of players. Let me get all this stuff off the screen for you again, and let's just focus right here on your back foot. When you're coming through, it comes up, which is good. It was very refreshing to see 2 young baseball players that weren't trying to squash the bug the whole time. You did that perfectly. But don't be afraid, like we were saying, to let your momentum carry that back foot forward a little bit. I think that will help with your shoulders rotating through. It will just get your whole body rotating through that swing. So let that rotation of your shoulders and your hips, let it drag that foot forward a little bit. That's not a bad thing, especially if you're going to have a step, which is fine. A lot of major leaguers have a step. I know your brother doesn't, but it's okay that if you step, just make sure that foot drags along with it. If you ever choose, I know we talked about it a little bit, and you choose not to go to the step, then I think your back footwork would be good for that, because your back footwork is very similar to your brother's. The only problem is that your front footwork isn't, so we don't want to combine those two. If we have the front footwork that you do, make sure that back foot drags forward a little bit, and that will help you with your rotation. So just a recap, we want to make sure that we get our stride even, and we want to make sure that our shoulders rotate all the way through, and we want to make sure that that back foot gets a little bit of drag in there, because that will help with everything as it rotates through. So it was great working with you, Josh, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to email me back. Thanks for coming out.